Lazy initialization means delaying the creation or initialization of an object or a resource until it is actually needed instead of doing it during program startup. So it's like saying don't make coffee until someone orders it. So why we use lazy initialization, or where we can use, is like while loading large config files or connecting to APIs, which helps in program loads quickly, defers a heavy setup. Then initializing heavy or expensive objects only when it is used. So like singleton objects, and when you are using lots of resources but don't need them right away. So these cases you can use lazy initialization. So let's consider a simple real life analogy. So imagine an online shopping app. So load the product list, but show the details when you click on the show detail option. So here's an example without lazy initialization. So you can see in this class, I have directly initialized a, a product details object. So instead of calling it when it is required. So this creates a product details even if a show detail is never called. So let's say you have not used this class, but the product details will be initialized. But in this case, you can see I have made it private. Then when you click on show details, or when user calls show details, the object is created, then prints the required details. So this is a lazy initialization. So whenever it's required, like show details method is called, the required object is created. So there are some real life use cases, like here I have that a configuration loader. So you have a web server that only loads config files when first accessed. Like you can see here, I have a config manager. Things which I have done here is, or which we have to do is, make a instance as a static variable, then make a config or whatever the constructor is private. Like if you make it private, only the instance class can create those object or call this constructor. Outside the class, you can't initialize. Here you can see the static object or a method called a get instance, which will create the instance and will provide the required instance when it is called. Here's a usage. So when I call, or when I use config manager dot instance, then only it will get loaded, then required a value will be uh, or value can be used. And here another thing, so config class one only initialize when it is required. Again, which we have seen already in the singleton video. So here I'm using get instance, only then the logger class will be created or initialized. So here I have some examples, like where the lazy initialization is used. So the first one is logger, which we already know. Like whenever instead of creating multiple logger files or updating multiple logs, we can have a single loggers and use whenever it is required. The next comes like DB connection pool manager. So again, the use case is like a web application might not need to connect to the database immediately. Maybe only when user logs in, it's required. So initializing the DB connection only when it is required avoids overhead. So uh, that's why we can use DB connection pool as a lazy initialization. So whenever guest instance method is called, the connection or the DB connection is initialized, and you can execute whatever the query you want to do. Then the next scenario is configuration setting, like property files are often used in a few places actually. So if you load them only on first use, you save app startup time. So you can see if it is null, if the properties is null, then initialize it, then load the file. So this will help you in saving your app startup time and all. Then loading image. So again, image gallery app displays thumbnails. Like when the user clicks on thumbnail, the full image is loaded. So why lazy here? Like full image consumes memory, so load only when it is required. The approach will be same. You just check whether full image is already available or not. If it is not available, then show it whenever the method is called. So whenever you click on show details or show image or get properties value, then only initialize the required large files. So you will save the timing and memory. Then we already seen the single pattern concept. Many single ton classes are implemented using lazy initialization to delay a resource heavy object creation until it is required. Until you call this, the singleton class is not created. Then again, Spring framework like Spring can use lazy initialization for beans, so they are not created until injected or used. So it's for faster startup, lower memory use until bean is used. To summarize, create a class when it is needed for implementing lazy initialization. Then it is memory efficient and improves your performance during startup time. Then the related design pattern are like a singleton factory proxy and all like use cases are like a config loading singleton pattern and caching or image loading system. Thanks for watching.